Namaskar, welcome to Ek Samvaad at Arunima Ankuran on the occasion of International Pi Day, that is March 14th. We are in conversation with Mrs.Lata Thergaonkar. She's an author of maths books for children and she's also the chief advisor at Sandipani School. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. It's such a pleasure and privilege to have you here.
My pleasure entirely.
A word about Arunima Ankuran. Arunima Ankuran is an initiative for positive social change through self-development. The goal is greater well-being and happiness for all. At Arunima Ankuran, we believe that each person is unique and special in some way, that each person can make a difference, that each person can have an impact, and that's what inspires us to keep going.
So true.
So Pi Day is celebrated as an annual celebration of the mathematical sign pi, founded in 1988 by physicist Larry Shaw. March 14 was selected because the numerical date represents the first 3 digits of the pi, and it also happens to be Albert Einstein's birthday. So a little information about the genius of Lata ma'am. I sourced this from Sandipani School's Facebook page. She is the greatest simplifier who cuts across argument, debate, and doubt and offers a solution to all problems. A dynamic personality, inspiration to all, a strict disciplinarian with awesome leadership qualities, a source of inspiration, known for her kind-hearted attitude. And here are some of the books that she's written. Absolutely amazing, ma'am. Thank you once again for joining us today.
Entirely my pleasure.
So, ma'am, we'll start with the beginning of your journey. Your schooling, a little bit about your education and how you chose to become a teacher.
Right. Actually, I had my schooling in various schools, as my father was in the railways and we kept moving every 2 to 3 years from one place to another. So wherever I got in, and I sort of loved that time. I think I really loved studying. I loved maths, and if I say so, I was the school topper in the class for most of the years. So because I think I just loved, studying was no issue with me. Like it wasn't something I didn't want to do. So I suppose, if you like to do it, then I suppose you do well.
Yes.
And then finally, when my father moved to Nagpur, and he was posted there for 6 years in 2 different appointments, but he was there for 6 years. That's where I completed my schooling from St. Joseph's. And then I joined Science College as it was then known. Today it's called the Institute of Science. And that's where I completed my graduation and soon after got married. Those were the days when I think, parents were very keen that girls got married early. So I did get married at the age of 20. So that was a turning point. And in fact, I had just joined MSc, but then hardly a month had gone by. I got engaged in the month of August, and I didn't want to continue because I would have had to stay on in Nagpur while my husband, who was in the army, he was a doctor in the army. So he would be leaving Nagpur. So I was, I was not keen on staying back in Nagpur. And it would have meant for a couple of years, which was not something really we wanted. So I moved out and then, got posted to various places, had my first baby immediately, within 10 months of marriage, and then another child after 4 years. And till then I was not working. I'd never even thought about working till then, it wasn't something on the horizon. But when my husband was doing his MD in Pune, that's the time he said, why don't you do your B.Ed? Not that I was very keen on studying at that point of time. And my mother also encouraged me a lot. And so I joined St. Xavier's College for B.Ed and I completed my B.Ed in 78. Soon after that, I have moved to Jhansi, and that's where I started my teaching career. It was in a very small school. It was the army school there, which was only up to class 2. So it gave me, a lot of learning experience besides teaching experience, because it was something very new for us. And the timings were very convenient. Though my children were going to school, I would leave after them, come back before they reached home. So, I don't think they really realized that I was not there, which was fine at that age, I think. They were small. So then now, of course, then after that, when we moved to Pune, so then it was a little difficult in the sense, because the school that I joined was St. Mira's school, which was run by the Sadhu Vaswani mission. And there the school timings were at 7:30. So definitely I was leaving the house much before everyone. So, I found it a little strange in the beginning, but soon settled in. By then the children were also old enough, it wasn't like they were very young or anything. So they used to manage and so on. And I taught there for quite some time. Then from Navy, uh, uh, actually, from Jhansi, I think we moved to Kalimpong first, where again I was teaching in the army school only. Then before we left Kalimpong, they found me fit enough to head the school as the headmistress. Wonderful. And then, yeah, it was a small school, in a small station, but about 250 students or so only. And then we moved to Pune. And then after that, again, it was a change, because in the Pune school, they gave me maths and science to teach. So it was something different, and it was a novel experience, because in Pune, the school was state board, and we had about 60 to 65 children in one class, which is not very easy to manage. True. So I found that a little daunting in the beginning, but it was, you kind of settle in and start enjoying that part also. I must mention that in the Kalimpong school, since the strength was very little, for about 1 or 2 years, I taught class 3 and class 4 in the same classroom. They were and just 8 children in class 3 and 4 children in class 4. So, it was very difficult, but it was a novel experience. And I found that both the classes gained by that. I did think that maybe class 3 will gain, but class 4 also gained. I think, things got revised or whatever it was. I found that it, helped them. That was a very unique experience. Which I think is followed in many, many villages in India, where they have only one master taking all classes. Yes. But that was different. And then from Pune, going to Pune itself, it gave me a vast, different kind of an experience. But it was nice. Then we moved to Delhi, and I was here teaching in the Sadhu Vaswani International School. But here they gave me only one subject, maths to teach. So English is my passion. But I was given maths to teach, and which was, in a way, this is where my journey for books started. Because one of the students who was, that's what her mother claimed. She says that my daughter was not at all fond of maths, but ever since she, is in your class, she started liking it, and so on and so forth. And she used to come and meet me 2-3 times. She came, and then the last time that she came, she said, "Would you like to write some books?" So, it was such a novel idea. I said, "Wow, what kind of books?" So she says, "Maybe mental maths books." So I said, "I would love to do that," because the mental maths books that we were following in the school, I was not at all happy with them, for the simple reason that every page of the book had the entire syllabus. How can a child solve all the sums? So I said, definitely. So then I went and met Mrs. Chawla, who was that time the in charge for Madhuban books, and that's how the journey started. And the first books that got published were the Mathamind series. Came out in 94, and it was such an awesome moment. Really, seeing those books in print and holding them in my hands, and it was like giving birth to a baby. True. It was amazing. It was a wonderful journey. It did take. And then, from Delhi, we moved to Vizag, where I got the opportunity to become the principal of the naval school there, and which I was in charge of for more than 4 years. Then my husband retired, and we came to Nagpur. I was then when we came to Nagpur for a year, I was quite busy setting up the house and kind of settling into civilian life as such.
Yes.
So then, yeah, it did take quite. It was very different. So I settled in, and then I met someone who said, "Don't you want to take up a job?" I said, "I want to, but I don't know whether I'll be able to take a full-time job."
Hmm.
So then he directed me to the principal of Sandipani School. He says, "You go and meet her because she is open for this kind of what you want to do part time or whatever." So I then met her, and that's how my journey with Sandipani began. I told the lady very clearly, I said, "I won't be able to come to school till 11 o'clock, but you can believe me that even if I have to leave at 5, I don't mind. The school timings were only till 4. I said, it doesn't matter, but in the mornings, I'm unable to leave my house and just rush out. And I don't want to do it either at this point of time."
Yes.
So she was agreeable to that, and so we did work. And then so actually, on and off, I mean, in between for 3 years, I was not in Sandipani, but in that time, I did a lot of other things. I did the editing of a small kind of a journal which was known as the Orange City News, which was a weekly, which was a very different experience, but I enjoyed it thoroughly because surfing the net or finding articles or doing whatever writing also, because I do write. I write articles, I write poems too. So that gave me a different experience, and I mean, I feel anyway life is all about learning. So I took it with a lot of this thing, and then of course Sandipani people called me back. So then I again rejoined in 2008. That time I told them, I said, actually, I'm in bad shape because my knees were giving me a lot of trouble. I won't be able to take even around in the school. So they said, no, you just come ground floor. You can sit on the ground floor. We make a small space for you. You sit there and, monitor, whatever. So that was very sweet of them. And so I did start that. And then of course, next year I had to undergo my surgery and I was away from Sandipani off and on because my husband was very sick and he was diagnosed with cancer, and so his treatment started in Delhi. So, like coming and going from Nagpur for the next few years. Unfortunately, I lost him in 2012. Then after that, of course, I'm in Nagpur. Settled there, I stay by myself, but it's not a lonely place because I will give full credit to my school, Sandipani, where I do get involved in so many activities and things that I don't think I feel loneliness, which is a big boon for me.
Yes.
Yeah. So as of now, I'm still with Sandipani. They've given me a nice fancy title called Chief Advisor.
Oh, ma'am, it's well deserved, I'm sure.
Well, anyway.
That's a beautiful journey. And while you were speaking, I was just thinking of how open you have been to new experiences, what we are calling the growth mindset now.
Absolutely. I think, we need to, I mean, we are lifelong learners or students, like I say. I mean, each thing or each occurrence in our life teaches us something different. It doesn't have to be academic. Anyway, academics is just one part of education. It's an important part, but one part. So there are other ways of growing, and so I suppose
Absolutely
helps me in very many ways. Yeah.
To that experience which you were talking about, ma'am, of a student who came to your class and went back and told the mother that, I enjoy her classes.
Yes.
What do you think is the difference between a teacher who can make children actually hate maths and the one who can make them love maths?
Well, I have written a couple of articles even about that. Why do children hate maths?
Yes.
And then also as to what is it that we can do to, mitigate the effect. It's not like we can do away with it totally, but yeah, to some extent. One of the reasons I feel, children, teachers don't make concepts very clear. The concept has to be clear, and with due practice, it has to become sort of a practice. It's just like something which the child would be able to do naturally. And math being what it is, it's like a brickwork. Like child doesn't understand this class, next class is going to be worse, and so on. So I feel that, and like I always tell all the maths teachers in Sandipani and wherever I do interact with them, I used to take workshops and all that. I used to say, maths teacher, most maths teachers, why do they have such a strict demeanor? I mean, when you enter a class, enter with a smile, as
Yes.
you're going to enjoy it. Maths is something to be enjoyed. I mean, and this is what you should pass on to the students. Like my father was very fond of maths himself, and he used to teach me, he used to say, when you solve a sum which you think is difficult, it is such pure joy.
Yes.
Maybe it's like a joy as if you have eaten a rasgulla. That's what So I used to share with my students. And then, after a few days, when I used to enter the class, ma'am, yesterday we ate 2 rasgullas.
Yes. Yes.
So making the experience, I mean, very positive. What happened? I don't know. I mean, and encourage them to ask a lot of questions. They don't clear their doubts. Another thing which I found useful all through my years of teaching, and which we advocate and we do follow in Sandipani too, is the buddy system, especially for maths. A child who's a little, strong in maths, and another child who's a little weak in maths can sit as pairs, partners. So
Yes.
I found that the children learn little things from their peer group much better than when from the teacher who's teaching all the 40 children. I found that to work. So that, and always you must have enthusiasm for your subject. Come on, let's do some sums now, kind of thing. Not open
Yes.
your book, take out sum number 5. If you talk like that, they don't want to, really.
Absolutely.
So it's up to us to quite some extent. And all the workshops that I took from Madhuban and otherwise, now of course it's too much of an effort for me. But I always tell them, primary teachers, your only job is to make the children love maths. That is your job. If they love the subject in those early stages, then they will not find it difficult later on.
Absolutely.
But over there only, and I also firmly believe, I don't know how true it is, but this is my belief, that if the children love the teacher, they love the subject.
Yes, ma'am, that's very true. Very true.
So be a very pleasant person in the classroom, that they should want to, kind of you to come and take their class, sort of.
Yes.
And then they will automatically like the subject also. This is my philosophy. And also making, steps very, very easy for them to follow, kind of any sum. Because the most, see, if you give them directly, even in class 1 or 2, just add or subtract or multiply or whatever, they're able to do it. The problem starts when the problem sums come in. Because they have to read the sum, comprehend and interpret.
True.
So that is where, so the problem lies not with the maths, but with the language. They get lost in the language. They are not able to reach the sum. What is to be done? So, things like that. So I would ask questions, everyone will do silent reading of the sum. Okay, now tell me, what do we have to find in the sum? Supposing, it's a small, like some, so many pencils cost, say, so many rupees, how many will, something like that. So then we will ask, will the answer be in pencils? Will it be in rupees? What will be the answer, first of all? So, like a comprehension sort of an exercise. Then you said, okay, so fine. So now we have two quantities. We have pencils and we have rupees. And will the answer be greater or smaller? So that much they can tell. It will be greater. Most of them would say it will be greater, ma'am. I said, okay. So in the sense, if it is going to be greater, there are only two operations which we will be doing. Either it is addition or it is multiplication. Now, if the quantities are the same, only then can we add. Only similar objects can be added or subtracted. But we have two quantities. We have pencils and we have rupees. So what will we do if we want to get a greater answer? Multiplication. Things, so you break it down for them, and I think they get it. They get it, most of them do. So, I mean, little things like that, if you use,
Yes.
then this concept has to be, stressed by the maths teacher at a very, very young age. We can only add or subtract similar objects.
Yes.
If we, like supposing we say 5 oranges plus 4 apples, then the answer will be in fruit. It will be 9 fruit. It will not be 9 apples or 9 oranges. So what are we doing? We are bringing it to a common denominator. The same thing holds true when we want to add fractions which have different denominators. We can't add them just like that. So we have to find a common denominator. Then we will, things like relate it all the time and keep stressing on this. And if you know that, the same thing holds true for, a whole of algebra is based on that. I mean, you can only add or subtract similar terms. I mean, which have the same variables. So, I mean, this whole thing continues all the time. So it's a very basic thing. You can multiply or divide two different quantities. But addition and subtraction can only be done with similar quantities. So
I wish I was in your class. Really, ma'am. Even to this day, I think this is one of the simplest explanations that I've ever heard. Because most of the time, what we are doing is we are telling them this is addition, this is subtraction, and this kind of logic is not added on to that.
And actually, most children by nature are logical.
Yes.
So if you appeal to that, I think they get it. And then they don't forget it.
Yes.
So important. Yeah.
The
So
responsibility to make kids love maths lies mostly with the teacher.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also to a certain extent at home. Because you will find that most mothers, I mean, most of them, will tell the children, okay, show me what's your homework, okay, this is in science, or this is in EVS or English, or whatever. And then she'll say, अच्छा math का है, ओहो वो पापा आ जाएंगे ना तब उनसे पूछ लेना. So what message are we conveying? That mother cannot solve it.
Yes.
And she's a super mom. For children, all their moms are super moms. If she can't do it, how can I do it? So, and this is what we're conveying. We may not say it in so many words that I can't do the sum. But as soon as you say, अच्छा maths का है क्या? तो वो जब पापा जाएंगे ना उनको पूछ लेना. And this is done in very many households.
Absolutely true, ma'am. Very true. Very true. And I think, somewhere along the line, if you don't begin to love the subject when you're in school, there's a lifelong aversion you develop, anything with numbers,
Absolutely.
you just tend to.
And I feel so sad whenever, in maybe in some get together or something, I meet people and etc. So she's a teacher. What do you teach, ma'am? So I said, I teach math. Math. I never liked maths when I was in school.
Yes.
This is the reaction of at least 80% or more of people.
Yes, ma'am.
I feel very sad. I really feel bad. I mean.
And I also think, that element you spoke about where you have to lay it out like that for the children, the entire process, explain it methodically.
Yes.
First, make them understand the concept and then go on to doing the process, whatever needs to be done.
Right. And as a teacher, I personally feel we need to modify our lesson plan as and when required. We don't need to be rigid about it. Because sometimes we think that this particular concept, it's so simple that children will get it. No, so I need to maybe spend just a couple of periods and it will be done. And we find that it's so difficult for them.
Yeah.
Well, some things which we think they may find difficult, they get it very soon. Like the long division method of finding square roots. I thought personally that it would take some time. Somehow I found the children do it very fast. So I mean, so we modify our own, things like that. That has to be done. You can't just assume that it will take 4 periods or 5 or whatever it is that you have in your mind. So that sort of thing, we shouldn't be rigid, about anything. I mean, it's true of anything in life.
That's so important. So is there a memory?
I think.
Yeah. Is there a memory you have, ma'am, of a student, who came to you not liking maths and ended up loving it?
Uh, Actually, quite a few of them, especially in the Delhi school. I found in the Pune school. I won't say that the experience is very diverse, but Pune school somewhere, I think in Maharashtra, maybe we do stress on maths a little bit. But in Delhi, I found that, very many of the parents, wo to ladki hai, what they're thinking is, but she's pretty enough, shadi wadi ho jayegi. So when
Focus.
this kind of focus is there at home, it's very difficult for the children to, really come out of it.
True.
And if I would say, then VP ma'am, maths तो बहुत ही difficult है. ऐसा नहीं, आप बना रहे हो ना. So why do you say it's difficult? When you say things like that at home, that these are the vibes you're sending out to the child. So don't do that. And they just assume कि girls हैं तो उनको नहीं इतना आएगा maths. So I said, why do you feel that?
Yes.
It's really wrong, but it's a mindset. So, where do we give our girls mechano sets? We are always buying them dolls and other stuff to play with. And we never buy a doll for a boy.
Not yet.
Not yet, right?
Yes,
So,
that's true.
it's something that's built up, over the. But yeah, there were very many students, but like this particular lady who came to me, Girija Singh, her daughter was in my class, and through whom actually I sort of moved to Madhuban. That she said my daughter used to hate maths, and now that she's in your class, she started liking it. She says it's not that difficult, which I think was a huge compliment. And
Absolutely.
later on, when I left, also when I was in touch with some of my students, they would write and say, "Ma'am, you were the best maths teacher," and only because of you now I have taken up engineering. If someone says that, we should
Lovely.
really.
Yes.
I know.
That's
As teachers, I think these are our rewards
hmm,
much more than any salary we may be drawing.
so true, ma'am.
So,
Yes.
yeah, so that is something we need to really
So
aware.
coming from a maths wizard, ma'am, what are some tips you would like to give to students with reference to how they can enjoy doing maths?
Enjoy doing maths. The only way to really like maths is when you find it easy, or when you find you can solve most of the. And for that, very, very much of practice is needed. You keep on solving sums and keep on doing them. Like when I was a child, my mother, even in the summer break, would make me do 10 sums every day. Every day. Summer break है कोई भी, 10 sums करने ही है. And she had herself studied in vernacular medium, but she would read the books and translate the sums into English and give it to me. And she would make me solve them every day. 10 sums करने ही है, छुट्टी है इसका मतलब पूरा दिन नहीं. Spend half an hour, 1 hour, whatever.
Yes.
So, so practice is the only thing with maths, and as you grow older and in higher classes, we need to solve papers, especially for the board students and all. A whole lot of practice papers need to be solved. Every day you solve a paper and time yourself and do things like that, and till you become very comfortable with handling numbers and other computational skills are so important. Very simple computations, but still. But
Yes.
even now, I've seen, even in class 12th board, physics or chemistry or wherever they get a numerical, it may be something very simple where the answer would be like one decimal number divided by another. They just want to leave it. So that is the kind of attitude most people have towards maths, which is, it's a little sad, but that's how it goes.
Yes,
Things
that's
may have improved a little bit, but no. But I would say we are fortunate in Sandipani because we do have a whole lot of teachers who are good at maths and good at teaching too. I do take regular workshops with them, and this year was a big challenge because the children came back after 2 years of online classes, and they had forgotten like most of it, and there were some students who hadn't attended a single class, maybe because of not having access to a smartphone or whatever it was. The reasons were different, but still, so the learning loss was tremendous. So this year especially we had to sit and we did kind of, make the maths portion, uh, kind of did away with some concepts which were not really necessary for that particular class, cut down the syllabus to quite some extent. And I've always told the primary teachers, I don't want to hear this, ma'am, hamara syllabus complete nahi hua. Syllabus is not important, please understand. Has the child
Yes,
developed the necessary skills? That is what we need to focus.
yes, yes.
Because if you keep on saying syllabus and syllabus, so that is not the focus, especially in those classes. I'm not talking about the 9th, 10th upwards, wo to khair karna hi padega aapko. But the point is, especially in the lower classes, let's focus on skill building. And this year we have stressed a lot on skill building, not necessarily only in maths, but also, in other subjects like English or EVS or Hindi or wherever. So you said just start from the beginning. Let's start with the listening skill. So even in class 1, I tell them, ask the questions in English, definitely. But if the child gives the answer in some other language, accept it.
Yes.
The thing is, that means that the child has heard you and has understood the question. That is the first step. Then, encourage them to answer. But even if the English is broken, never mind.
Yes.
This is how you help them. So things like, even for maths or for EVS or anywhere, we do have spelling drill, we have dictation, because it has to be a holistic experience. You cannot, just teach things,
That's true.
That trying to link things with other subjects is so important.
Yeah.
So we are trying to do as much as we can.
Yes.
Trying to help out. Let's see.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time. It was wonderful speaking to you. And, as somebody who was really afraid of maths in school, I'm really wishing I had a teacher like you.
I must share with you that I'm a member of Minstrels, which is a poets group in Nagpur. And once I had them over at my place, turn by turn, we call at each other's place. So they were at night. So they're saying, oh, you're looking very happy today. I said, yeah, yesterday only 2 of my new books have, been printed and they've come. So they went near they were on the dining table. So they kind of, as a group, they went to peer and all of them recoiled as if they'd seen a snake or something. They said, but these are maths books. I said, yeah, well, sorry, I write maths books. So, see, that is the reaction of generally most people.
So, more power to ma'am, more power to teachers like you, ma'am, because it is very important. Numbers play a very important role in our lives, and we need to be friends with them, actually.
Yeah.
So
I know, and it's one of the pure sciences on which most sciences are based. So you really need to be good at that.
Yes.
I would love people who, at least when I move in society and I tell them I teach math, oh wow, is that a great? I would like them to, somewhere, instead of saying, oh my God, that's something I didn't like at all. That is the most common reaction I get.
Yes.
So, here's hoping to change that to some extent.
Yes, and it was so lovely talking to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for being on Ek Samvaad at Arunima Ankuran.
Not at all, entirely my pleasure, like I said. Thank you.
Thank you.